Welcome everyone to the Going Dutch podcast. I have a very special guest, Gina Trimmer of Revitalized Womanhood. I'm so excited because we have tried a couple of times to get together and do this podcast. I met Gina at the Unstoppable conference, and she just was looking like this angel in this white jumper. And I thought, who is that long-legged, amazing woman that can pull off a white jumpsuit? And I just had to know you. And I'm so thankful that we were able to be introduced, and we just made a quick connection, and here we are.
A quick connection and also a small world connection, because your husband is part of the IC. So
no, he's not.
But he listens to Ryan.
Yeah, he listens to Ryan. He loves Ryan's book. He's given every man he knows that book, the Sovereign Man book.
Yeah.
And
Sovereignty, all the time. His new one is Masculinity Manifesto.
Yeah. Huge fan of Ryan. So thankful that he is loud and talking about all the things he is. Men need that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so that's what I'm doing for women now. Hopefully.
Yeah. So let's just jump right in. I want to hear.
I love that you talked about my jumpsuit, because honestly, I'm usually in such mom. I have this level of, I'm either in my workout clothes all day or I am dressed up, right? Like I don't have an in between. There's no in between, because I feel like an imposter when I put on anything to try to just wear regular clothes during the day. That's not just gym clothes. I'm like, oh, why do I look like I'm trying to get all fancy? And it's like, really? Jeans and a shirt is fancy?
Yeah.
And
well, so they say that. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. But so for me, it was like you and Amy Gregory like lit my fire while I was there, because of course I was dressed up. It was an event. We were all dressed up, whatever. But you and Amy Gregory, you just show up every day looking the same as you would as if it was an event. You look beautiful. Absolutely put your best foot forward. And I'm like, you know what? That bar has been set and I need to be there.
Wow. That means so much, because there are moments where I do not feel that way, but I know that a lot of women say they dress up for other women. And to be honest, I dress up for me, because if I feel good, then I do good, and I'm better at what I do. So I do it for me. And I'm sure you feel that way too. And well, that was a high compliment to put my name next to Amy Gregory's. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
She's just like this teeny tiny thing, and I'm like, oh, we're the same height.
She is a firecracker. She packs a punch, that girl.
For sure. So please tell my audience, how did you come to start this Revitalized Womanhood program, and what does that look like? And then we'll go from there.
Well, it's so interesting, because my journey with this actually started a long time ago. I've been kind of having, since I've been doing this and working through things after Unstoppable and opening my mind to things that are energies and just expanding what I think about, right? Because I never made the connection to being here, doing a podcast, leading a women's community. I never made the connection to that is actually what I used to dream about when I was a little girl, because I ask my women, I ask the members in the sisterhood, I say, we're going to create your vision, right? And a lot of women, when they're moms, they just forget. They forget how to have a vision. They forget they cannot see past the pile of laundry, right?
Right.
And I was there. I was with them. I know exactly what they're talking about. And I was living not my husband's dreams, because it was everything that I wanted as well as our family, but I'm the mom, and that's my job. And I love that job. And that's the job that I wanted. But also I kept feeling like there's something more. So to go back to when I had this full circle moment, I used to remember there was 5 of us, these girls that we used to be best friends in junior high and high school. We were called the Fab Five. And we used to hang out at Allie's house. And you remind me a lot of her, actually. She was just this vivacious, just this dancer, and always just had the best clothes and the funnest house. So we were always hanging out at Allie's house, right? So we would sit in the hot tub every night, hanging out, the 5 of us, and we would say what we were going to be when we grew up, right? And it was so funny, because it was answers like, I remember Crystal was a model in New York. She was going to be a model in New York or whatever. And my answer was a famous news anchor living in a big city, right?
Mhm.
And so I actually did go on to college to do broadcast journalism, but there's such a small city here and I was never going to leave St. George. And so I thought that's not going to happen because I don't want to be in the small journalism community that's here, whatever. So that just went away. Never thought about it again. And then when I started working on these visions and everything, and life happened, right? I mean, I got married. I have 3 beautiful boys, and we left even in 2017 and went and traveled the world for 3 years over 40 countries. And life happened, right? I never even saw myself later on. I kept thinking about you because you think about what am I going to do when my kids leave the house or
Yeah.
when they're old enough they don't need me. Well, then I had a baby. So that was like, oh, wait, never mind. I don't have to think about that for a while. But you start thinking about that. And I'm like, well, what do I want to do? Like, do I want to go into nursing? That would be good. I could do that. Do I want to, and I started thinking about these things and then kind of didn't think about it again, just kind of whatever. Well, my husband was hunting with Ryan Mickler, who is the founder of Order of Man and the Iron Council. And they decided it was time to start this for women. So they were hunting in Hawaii. And I joke that the idea for Revitalized Womanhood was from 2 men hunting in Hawaii. And so it was born there. And they came back to me and said, would you like to lead this movement? And I said, absolutely yes, 100 times yes. Like there was no pause. There was no, well, let me think about it. It was absolutely 100% yes. I have always been very passionate about, I don't know why, as a friend, maybe I've always known that I was the kind of person that could look at someone else and tell them how they were so special, right? Even if they can't see it themselves, it's like, I can see what you don't see and let me tell you what it is. And I'm kind of like a bull in a china shop with that aspect of it. It is like,
Love that.
Like all over you, I'm going to tell you that you're amazing type thing. And honestly, it just clicked. It was just like this aha moment. And so when I've been doing these visions and these goals and objectives and tasks with my ladies, I had this full circle moment for myself. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've done the big city thing with my husband all over the world. And I am doing a podcast now. And this is exactly what I used to envision for myself as a little girl. And I just got chills. I had a total full circle moment. And that for me, if I can have that, I want to help all the other women have that too. Whatever that looks like.
Yeah. The one thing that I talk with my clients about, so I focus on gifts and helping women to reignite their gifts. That's what I coach. That's what I specialize coaching in. And then there's like healing modalities and everything that goes with it. But what I hear when you say that is that this is your gift and you've been prepared for this, and that it was like a winch that just hooked your heart and pulled you into it. It wasn't like anybody had to push you. It wasn't like you were dragging your feet. You're just like, yes. And it just started pulling you. And it feels like it's its own kind of thing. And you're kind of like on the train, but like organizing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is
absolutely.
that accurate?
Yes, that's totally accurate. It's a freight train. It's happening. This started in the concept of this. They came to me in June. We were in Alaska at the time. Wow. And I was just like, yes. And immediately we're having this family trip in Alaska for June and July. And our friends were there visiting with us and my in-laws were there visiting with us. And all the while I was, okay, I got to name this thing. I've got to get the business license for this thing. I've got to do this, and this. And so they came to me the 1st of June. And by the end of June, it was going. We were starting and we were supposed to open the sisterhood on September 15th, but I didn't feel quite ready to, but we opened it on October 1st. So the podcast came, I think, in August. I'm going to have to look that up because I've actually thought that before. I think we started the podcast in August and the sisterhood opened and launched on October 1st. And we are doing it. I've got 27 members in there right now with me. And I just keep getting these women and I'm so excited because I get to have this one-on-one with them right now, which honestly, if I look at Ryan and the Order of Man and Iron Council, and I it's huge. He's been doing Order of Man for 7 years, and the Iron Council has been in inception since for almost 6 years, 5 years, 6 years.
Wow.
And it's so big that luckily he's got the system so they're all doing the things they need to be doing. But I look at my once a week rally call. We call them our Zoom calls once a week with my ladies, and I'm kind of sad because they all fit on my screen so perfectly right now, And honestly, from the first one, October 1st, and there was 3 of us, right? And then the next one, it just grew, and the next one, it just grew, and the next one, it just grew. And I'm like having these growing pains as far as I want the connection. I want the one-on-one connection. I don't want it to be so big that I'm so disconnected. And so it's like a baby. It's like your baby. Like you're in this mode of baby mode. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I just want to soak all of this up. But I know you're going to grow up, and I know we're going to get to different stages. And I'm kind of a teeny bit mourning it a little bit while it's happening.
Yeah.
Right. I'm in it, and I'm trying to enjoy it and be present. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm kind of mourning and hoping that I can continue to figure out a way to be really involved.
It's interesting that you say that you're mourning, because I do believe that as we expand and our dreams come to fruition, there is a grieving process of leaving that growing part and realizing that, and realizing, okay, it's time to go again, but like mourning how you wanted it to be, or how you feel in this moment. So thank you for sharing that and articulating that.
Absolutely.
So tell us, what is the sisterhood? And you've already said you have calls weekly, and what does that mean? What does the sisterhood mean?
Well, this is very interesting because anyone who knows of Order of Man, or even the women that are wives or family members to men that are in this Iron Council, they know what's happening. And you can't believe the effect it's had on you. The testimonials alone are so inspiring, hearing it from the wives' perspective, hearing it from the men's perspective. So kind of I don't want to hop around so much, but that's the foundation of it. So basically, imagine a community where you have already, I tell my ladies, we have already cut the small talk just by becoming a member, just by becoming part of the Revitalized Sisterhood. You don't have to have small talk anymore. It's not, how's the weather? It's not, it's things like, how's your marriage? How are your finances? How are you making yourself a better person, a better wife, a better mother, a better community leader? How are you doing those things? How can I help you? How can I hold you accountable? And then how can you hold me accountable for those same things? And it's just a system where, if you've been lucky enough, which I know you have, to be part of a community where the women, you could call anyone and they'd be there in a heartbeat, right?
Yeah.
And so many women don't have that, especially women who have maybe had that and then they've had to move to a new place. And when we're in this stage of life, you can't just meet friends at school, right? You have to be creative and meet women at the gym, or you have to meet women at the mommy and me days, or at the park, or you have to be able, and a lot of women are terrified to do that. I'm finding out. I think everyone's like me and can just walk up to strangers and become best friends within 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm finding out that is absolutely an anomaly. That doesn't happen. And so what if you have this group that you can trust with your whole heart and be completely raw, no judgment, because we are all in this together, this life. We're shoulder to shoulder in the trenches of the same things, even though they're different, same things. I have a 20-year-old and I have a 75-year-old and everything in between. The 20-year-old came to me and said, would this be appropriate for me? And I'm like, I love that you reached out and asked that, because heck yes, girl.
Yeah.
For 2 reasons. One, you can learn a lot from all these old ladies in here. We will tell you all the things. We will give you all the advice. You take it however you want, as much as you can handle. But also, my favorite part is that it helps these women who are stuck in the monotony of the laundry, of the baby, we love it, right? I mean, we love it, but at the same time, it's monotony. It's sometimes you sit there and you look at your life and it's like, why do I even try? Like what? You're in your pajamas and your husband's mad at you because you guys aren't connecting as well as he wants you to. And you're just kids climbing all over you all day long. And it's like, what is my life? So I love for this 20-year-old to be able to remind these women, before you were a mom, before you were a wife, before you were a label, you were a woman, right? She is this 20-year-old bright shining light of goals and dreams, and she hasn't even had, what is it like when you have a horse and you've broken their spirit? Right? She hasn't even begun down that path yet. And so I like a reminder for these women to like go back to your roots. Okay, go back to the inside. What were you, like I said, the 5 of us sitting in a hot tub saying, what do we want to be when we grow up? What's our life going to look like when we grow up? And I love that. I love the seasons.
Yeah. So to make maybe a distinction for myself or for people that are hearing, what I hear you say is that women want to be seen. We want to be gotten in all the stages of life, because even when, like my kids, my youngest is 10 now, so I'm not in the crawling all over, fishies ground on the floor, tantrums in the middle of the store phase. And my oldest is 20. So I'm in the midst of a lot of different brackets. And so sometimes I don't even feel seen. And I have like a text group with 20 women that I've either gone to church with or in my neighborhood. And sometimes I don't even really know if I can be safe to be seen there. But when you are in a group of women like you've created, that is a safe space, there's no judgment, and you're all working on similar things, that I believe is when we're like, okay, it's safe to shine, it's safe to share, and it's safe to be seen.
Absolutely. 100%. You nailed it. I love it. And it's not just I'm here to be seen. It's we are separating into, we haven't yet because we are new and I'm still trying to figure out where the path will lead for us versus what the Iron Council has already set up for themselves. They've got teams, right? And they call them their battle teams, and they have specific guidelines, which I also have guidelines for quarterly visions, goals, objectives, tasks, and then you have to track it daily, because if we're not tracking it, what is happening? What's the progress? You can't, if you're not tracking something, there's really no progress. So there are those kinds of things. And then you're in these teams that you become completely raw. I mean, those are your sisters. Like I said, in the trenches, we call them firing squads, because a firing, not like you're thinking, but I love the double entendre, but the firing squad, as far as taking clay and turning it into pottery, the process of firing, it's applying extreme heat, extreme pressure to change you into something better and stronger, right?
That's beautiful.
So that is the whole concept of that. And like you said, it's things, these are conversations. Like I watch my husband, and he's got these 2 buddies here in town that they all connected because of this community, right? And they are holding each other accountable as far as, those friends that you'll call them and be like, oh my gosh, my husband just this, that, and the other. And they're like, yeah, you go, girl. You're right. No, you know what? These are friends that you call. And if they're going to hear you say something, they're going to say, well, did you maybe take a minute to hear his side of that conversation? Did you maybe take a minute? Right? Because I am your friend that wants the best for your marriage. I'm not just a friend that's going to be the yes, ma'am that you call. I'm the friend that's going to say, I don't think that was right of you to do that to him. He's got feelings too. You've got to listen to what he's saying. Right. Or maybe you are lashing out at your kids a lot and you need to have a conversation with your husband about maybe you need a little more me time to go decompress and you're feeling overwhelmed. That's the kind of conversations. I mean, infidelity, things that are, you're not going to go talk to because maybe you're embarrassed or you don't want it to become gossip in the town, or those are the things that are, it's kind of like a girls club, like with, the bro code, same thing. This is girl code. This is, we are in this together and we're going to do it. And it's not going to leave this space and you're safe with me.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Something that I have started doing with some of my safe space friends is if there is like a negative conversation, I'll say, okay, we're going to have a timer and you can say whatever you want for the next 5 to 10 minutes. You're going to get it all out. And then we're going to do something to raise the vibration, because we don't want to sit in this low vibration, frustration, negativity, but it is helpful to get it out. Like just say all the things you want to say. And sometimes it does go over 10 minutes, like, okay, they're not done. They're not done. And then there's, okay, now how can we look at it? How can we shift the perception? What part of this experience is actually for you and for your learning and your growth? I love that you do that.
Which is being intentional. It's putting intention on something. And I love that you do that, because after that, if you hear that friend complain about that same thing again, it's like, guess what? No, I already listened to this. What have you done about it to make it better, to make it not happen? What have you done about it? If you've done nothing and it's happening again, shame on you, right? So let's think of ways to be proactive to better this situation. I've been stuck this week a lot in the get out of the victim mentality. Women, get out of it. It's not anything that's been thrust upon you to be a mother. It's not this, that you're a wife, boohoo, poor me, because of these things that are happening to me. It's like, no, you made the choice to be a mother. Yes, certain things come along with it and things are hard, but we can do hard things. We give birth, for heaven's sakes, right?
Yeah.
And you need to look at yourself and think, what's the hardest thing that's happened to me? Like maybe a death in the family, something that you've had to grieve and you thought, I'll never get past this. What about the women who lose husbands? What about the women who lose children? What about, oh my gosh, the most inconceivable things things that you can't even imagine for yourself. People are going through these things and they are getting through them. And honestly, they are growing into a better person. You hate to say that, but really it's those downs that make you have to climb out, right? And you can't climb out of it if you're weak. You can't climb out of it so you come out of it a stronger version of yourself. And we can do hard things, ladies. So this victim mentality of boo-hoo, poor me, I can't do it. I can't figure this out. I can't do it. Like, I just got a Mac for the first time. I figured it out. It was hard. I will not lie. I had to call my 15-year-old niece and say, how do you close the window? But it's all relative. One foot in front of the other. Take off tiny little bites. Stop trying to look at it as a whole when life is just like so big. And how do I even get there? Small bites. You get there one day at a time. And if your goal is down here, if you're each day moving closer to that goal, ask yourself that. It's not a big thing. I'm not saying each day you have to run a marathon, right? Each day, if you say, okay, I'm sitting on the couch, is that pushing me closer to my goal? No, it's not. Am I going to get up and fold this laundry? Is that going to push me closer to my goal? Absolutely it is. So I'm going to do that, right? It's each day you're getting closer to an end result, whatever that end result is.
Yeah. So I just had authored a collaboration book it'll be published the end of the month. And it's called Healing Through Broken Relationships. And it is exactly what you just said. It is people's stories of how they were broken in some sort of relationship, marriage, business, suicide ideation, death of a friend, foster parenting, all the things, and how they found resilience and healing in that brokenness. And I truly believe that brokenness is for us. When something is happening that is hard, we can do hard things because that's what makes us great. And I feel like so much of society, of culture and community, wants us to play small. Let's just fit in this box. We're not going to get outside of this box. There's no expansion. There's no bigger conversation. There's no resiliency conversation. Like, even just a hi, how are you anymore from a child. When I was a kid, everybody said that. But now, like, my kids are almost the only kids saying it when I go places. And it's like, those are the things that make our kids great. And that we have to keep doing the things that make us great, even if it's just, like you said, a little bit. Am I sitting on the couch today all day? Am I going to allow myself to do that? Sure. Tomorrow, am I going to work twice as hard because I chose to do nothing today? Absolutely. And doing that self-check.
I can't wait for that book to come out. I'm really excited about it.
Thank you.
I've heard of you guys talking about it since we met, and I'm really excited to read that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm super excited. It was a labor of, whew.
Freight train.
Big freight train. Did not know it was going to be like that at all.
Those freight trains, they get you. They sneak up and get you.
But it was like what you felt with this. It was a wench, like a wench. Okay, yes, I will do this.
I have to do this. It's interesting that you said that about kids. This is kind of taking us a different direction, but I love that you said that about kids, because Ryan actually said that. He was doing an interview with somebody on his podcast, and I heard him, because of course I know his kids and they are very respectful. He's raising his kids the way his podcast is raising good men, right?
Right.
And he said, I had someone say, I know I met your son and I'm really impressed by what a good kid he is. And Ryan says, well, I'm just curious, if you don't mind me asking, what about him made you say that? He said, he shook my hand firm, looked me in the eye and spoke, you know, and Ryan was like, isn't that sad that's a very low bar, very low.
Super.
That should be a normal. That should be the lowest bar. And then from that, they just are better. Right. Yep. And that's what he said. He made that point of course, my kids do that. I raised them to do that. Like, yes, sir. Thank you. Please. You know?
Yeah. And it's such a simple thing. And even a lot of adults do it. When we're at the grocery store, I wait for my kids. I will not pay until they have manners. And sometimes I'll have to prompt them still, hey, manners. And then they'll say it. And the adult's like, what? I guess I'm okay today. I'm like, you're not helping me teach my kid. But it's an opportunity to get in the car and say, okay, that was good on your part. And some people don't know, and we're going to continue to be friendly. You did make them smile. Good job.
And that's what communities like these, I love that they're out there, is because we're worried about this next generation. We are all worried about it. Well, okay, what are we doing about it? Are we really doing anything about it? Right? Am I going to let one of my ladies in my group let her kid just lay in bed in the morning while she goes and says, hey, get up, and then brings him up his breakfast to his bed? Hey, we really need to get up. It's about time. You know, and it's like, no. Yeah. That kid needs to be getting up themselves, set an alarm. They're big enough to start teaching these life responsibility, these life lessons, because otherwise, what are we doing? What are we here for? Right. And also being the example. If they're seeing me in my pajamas all day, what do they think is normal for a mom to do? If they're seeing me bicker with my husband or fight with my husband, what's the relationship that I'm showing them for the future for my sons, that they're going to be okay with a wife that does that to them? And I don't want that for them. Right.
Nope.
That terrifies me to think that. I don't want them to be another child for their wife. I don't want them to not know how to do laundry, I mean, my kids, I'll tell your listeners, my kids are 11 and 8 and 2, but 11 and 8. And now that we've role reversed, so this is funny for them to know as well. We've role reversed. You know, my husband has always been the building his corporations and starting companies and whatever. And I've stayed home with our kids and done things, whatever I needed to do for our family. But I've been home and now he's home. And it's interesting for me to see because I was becoming complacent. I was completely operating at neutral and maybe even not neutral, below. I was, drowning because I was letting my house get the better of me. I wasn't running. I love saying to my women, run your house. I don't care if you're not a CEO. I don't care, because we have our 4 core categories that we stand by, and it's beliefs, bonds, body, and biz. And business, that doesn't really land with stay-at-home moms, right? If I say business, you're like, I'm a stay-at-home mom. Well, guess what? Your home is your business. You are the CEO of that business. Your husband is the CFO. You are the CEO. You should be organized. You should have a day planner. You should have everything structured out just like a business would, like going to the grocery store. Are you going 4 times a week? That's not good time management. No CEO would allow an employee to do that. You make a list and you get it done. You order it even. You order it and you pick it up, and you meal prep, you plan out the recipes for the week. You make the list, it's going back to things that we were taught from the June Cleavers, right? They had their houses spick and span and run like a tight ship. And what's wrong with that? That's beautiful. Yeah. And then they loved when their husband came home and they looked pretty for them. And what's wrong with that? That's beautiful. That is a beautiful thing. Yeah. So I tell these women, run it like a business. And I was not doing that. I wasn't. So when they came to me to run this, it was like a life preserver almost. Being thrown, because I was drowning and I didn't see a way out of it. And now I look at it, and all it took was me starting to, do these things. But our first book of the month in October was Atomic Habits by James Clear. Wow. Blew my mind. But it's been in our Audible account for years, because my husband's read all these books and he's always said, read this book and read this book. This was an amazing book. Read it. And I'm like, nah. Why would I care about that? I'm going to read my stories, right? I've got my own books and whatever, but I opened my mind and allowed myself to see the world through a different perspective. Yeah. And it's blowing my mind. Right? Yeah. This month is Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. That's a business book, but it's not. What he talks about is everyday communicating skills, asking questions, being a good listener. That's amazing parenting skills. That's amazing couple skills, listening to your spouse, right? Yeah. It's just small things like that you can start implementing that, why do you have to be this put upon woman that's having to take care of the home and having to take care of the kids? You don't have to be that at all. You can be strong. You can run it like a tight ship, like June Cleaver would, right? You can even write a book. I mean, what's your passion? go even deeper, right? Yeah, plant absolutely. A beautiful garden. Get way into gardening. Bottle if you're homeschooling. Like, get into homeschooling, start doing some things. Like, I kind of went off with when my husband was staying home with our boys, he's starting to actually open my eyes to, he's the one that makes sure they get up, they set their own alarms, they get themselves ready, they get their own breakfast, they do their own hair. This is such a foreign concept for me, because I was doing it all. And I was screaming at them every morning because they weren't doing what I was trying to make them do. I was trying to control every little thing, and it was making me crazy, and it was making me the mean mom. And finally, Rick had to step in, and he says, do not come out of your room until it's time to take these boys to school. Honestly, he says, whether you're just sitting in bed drinking coffee, whether you're working, whether you're getting ready for the day, do not come out of your room in the morning until it's time to take these boys. And it has been so peaceful in our house in the morning. Kids, honestly, they just get them. They can do it. They can do it. I wasn't letting them. They can do their own laundry. He takes them to the grocery store and gives them the list, and they do the shopping. He walks behind them with the baby, and he's taught them how to read the little prices where it's what is it?
By ounce.
Yes. He's taught them to do that. And they go and they check it out and they pay. And there's books on Amazon that are like teaching kids life lessons in balancing checkbooks and what credit cards are and what interest is. And those are the things that our kids need to be learning and doing, because they we need to set them up to be able to be these strong adults, right?
Yeah. How to fill out your own paperwork at the doctor's office. I make my kids do that. I make them schedule their own appointments because, and if they want to go to dinner and we have to make a reservation, I make them call.
You are on it. I have a story about my mom. I remember when I came down to college and I needed to make an OBGYN appointment. And I said, Mom, will you make that appointment for me? And she said, no. And I was so mad at her. I was so mad. I'm like, how could you do this to me? This is so embarrassing. I can't believe that you would make me make my own appointment. I was so mad at her.
Yeah.
Like, you're out of the nest, babe. Bye.
Yeah. Yes.
Go fly.
Yeah. And that's what I love most about your sisterhood and what you said is because you are healing these women and up-leveling them. It's up-leveling our kids and our communities. And that is the whole point of why we're doing this. Our gift has been called, we're being pulled by it. And then we get to share our gifts with others so that they share those gifts with others, and on and on and on. And the ripple effect just goes out.
Absolutely.
So I just want to say, I want to acknowledge you, Gina, because this isn't easy. Podcasting, masterminds, coaching, it's not easy. And it doesn't mean that your life is roses and rainbows. Like, you're in the thick of it too, maybe in a different way or a different level, but maybe I'm speaking too much. But I know for me, like, I'm in the thick of it too. I may be coaching people how to use their gifts and how to pull it out of them and shining their light, but like, I'm struggling too sometimes.
No, that's the beautiful thing. You're not overstepping. It's a beautiful thing to actually, I think a good leader, I think the best bishops are the ones who have sinned, right? It's the empathy. I think the best churches are the ones that have sinners in the pews. I think the best leaders are the ones who admit and acknowledge and show that they're human. Like, it's not that I'm a hot mess and come follow me and I'm a hot mess. No, it's guess what? I'm in the trenches. Fight. Yeah, I've had that same fight with my husband, and I'm going to have it again, I'm sure. And I can empathize with you and listen to what you're saying and not judge you, because I have been there too, right? Yeah. Isn't that the kind of leader that you want in a community like this? And not, I keep saying leader just because that book is on my mind, great leaders, but a person to even go to, your sisters, right? The Revitalized sisters, you would want the people in there that can commiserate with you because they've been there, but also can lift you up because they've been there, right? Yeah. Yeah. This has been so amazing. I could talk to you forever. And I'm already thinking like other topics. I want to talk so much, but I'm out of time. So will you just give my listeners one tidbit, if you could only tell them one thing? Absolutely. What would that last thing be? My most favorite thing is be you, love you. That's where it starts. You cannot love someone else. You cannot do things for other people until you acknowledge that you are amazing. You are beautiful. You are wonderful. Yeah, we all have work to do, but at the core, you are you. You have to love you. And that's the first step. That's beautiful. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. The last thing I want to say is that if everyone could know and use their gift, their light would shine and the world would shine a lot brighter, and we would be for each other shining brighter. So wherever you are, my audience, wherever you're at in life, know that you have a gift inside of you that we all need to see, and we all need you to share it. And with that, Gina, thank you so much for joining me. I hope maybe we can do it again sometime and talk about something else. Oh my gosh, I think we definitely should. I have a plethora of topics we could touch. Love it. Love it. Come and see me, ladies, at revitalizedwomanhood.com. Yes, thank you. Podcast, Revitalized Womanhood. Yes, and all of Gina's links will be in the show notes. So please look for those, check her out, follow her.
She has had some amazing guests on her podcast. She's up to big, big things. And if her program calls to you, reach out.
Absolutely.
Now.
And just with the questions, I love it. I am so here for all the questions. Just reach out to me. I love it.
Love it. Love seeing you. Love talking to you.
Thank you, beautiful
Thanks, Gina.
friend.
Bye.
Bye.